to the Life and Listings podcast. I have Lindsay here. Thanks for joining us today.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Jennifer.
I'm really excited where this conversation is going to go today. So for people listening that don't know who you are yet, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're up to.
Sure. Well, I'm a corporate America dropout, first and foremost. So I was in corporate America for 12 years before I took the full cannonball into real estate. So I consider myself a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and I have several businesses under the umbrella of real estate. So I'm a traditional real estate agent. So I help people buy and sell homes here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. I'd love to say I have a niche. I live in Arcadia, but I work the whole metro. And then I have a small portfolio of single-family investment properties that I manage with a partner. And then I also have a coaching program. It's a small group program called Legacy Agents. It's for successful women in real estate who are experiencing isolation, burnout, and tired of being on the commission roller coaster. And they're really looking to up-level their skills, resources, and network. So that's been really fun. And then my latest two endeavors are I wrote my first book. And I really wrote it. Somebody said, who wrote it for you? And I was like, what do you mean? I wrote it for myself. Who does that? So if you're watching with video, it's called Becoming a Legacy Agent, an Uncommon Guide to the Most Common Challenges in Real Estate. And really, it's my whole coaching philosophy in book form. So I have a high-ticket coaching program. So it's small group. We have 10 people. And it's a 12-month program, so it's a pretty intense program, and it's not accessible to everyone. So I wanted to make sure that it was, so it's available on Amazon. I could talk a little bit more about that. And then my latest passion project is podcast. I just launched with two co-hosts a podcast, and it's called The Inspection Period. And we only have 3 episodes out so far, but it's going really well, and I'm really enjoying that.
I love podcasting, and writing a book is the scariest thing I've ever done. So I'm excited to hear about both of those things. So let's dig into that. You know, like you just had this book come out, a couple of months ago?
Yeah, on my 40th birthday, May 30th, 2024.
So exciting. And then the podcast just launched. So let's talk about a little bit about the book, because, you know, that's something that's on my read list for sure.
Yeah, so the book is really split into kind of 2 parts. I think one of the things that agents really struggle with is this industry, it's very challenging and unique. Obviously, we've had a lot of things that have happened since the book came out with the NAR changes and whatnot. But even before that, this industry has a lot of toxic traits that people aren't talking about. We lack boundaries. We don't have any set schedules. Our clients expect us to work 24 hours a day. And we do all of the work in hope of making money. It's not guaranteed at any point that just because we did the work that we're actually going to close the deal and get the paycheck. And I think that that's really unique. You know, we're really the only industry that does that. Attorneys have billable hours and they take retainers, and that's not really how we work. Now, commissions have become even more challenging. So when you're in an industry that has a lot of financial stress, we know that that's one of the biggest triggers for people is financial stress. And so that, along with, you know, everyone always feels like it's their last deal. Even the most successful agents I know are afraid that their last sale is their last deal. What I learned through, I kid you not, hundreds of thousands of dollars in coaching and masterminds and therapy were a lot of techniques that I share in the first half in order to help with your mindset, regulate your nervous system, those kinds of things. So it's the inner work. And I think that that's what a lot of people are missing right now is the inner work side of things, because as much as this business is about strategies and tactics that have stood the test of time, how you sold real estate in the 80s really is pretty much still how you sell real estate today, aside from maybe like pay-per-click and some of the online lead gen sources, but you know, open houses still work and those kinds of things. So the first half is just about managing yourself and getting yourself to a place where you're instilling good boundaries, eliminating some people-pleasing tendencies that we have with most people who are in this industry. And then the second half is my playbook. So it's how I started my business and grew from 0 volume to top 1.5% in the country in 18 months. So it's exactly what I did step by step, and all of the kind of processes and tools to get there. So if you follow it, hopefully it will help. So I've gotten a lot of great reviews, and it was really rewarding to write. I always thought I'd write a fiction romance novel.
Okay.
Yeah, here we are with a how-to book on real estate. So sexy.
I mean, the romance novel is just going to have to be next, right? I mean, I think everything in your book is so important, because there's so many books that are either talking about the woo or there talking about building a business, but they're never talking about both, right? Because and that's so important. There's so many people in real estate that are just they're just grinding. They're just day in, day out. They're burning themselves out. They're burning their significant other out. Their kids aren't seeing them. They're unhappy. They want to quit. I mean, I don't know how many of our clients are like, every once in a while, they're like, I think I'm just going to do something else. Okay, let's talk through that, right? Like so how did you figure out, was it through coaching where you started setting boundaries, or was this something that just kind of stemmed from your own personal?
A little bit of both. I mean, when I got into real estate, I don't know if you know, like Enneagram and those kinds of modalities. I'm really big into Enneagram, human design, strength finders, and those kinds of things. Those are kind of 3 assessments that I always use. But it was through really understanding me that I had to figure out, why am I constantly feeling like I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown?
Yeah.
And so one of my mentors, Sage Aubrey, she has this term as like, that we talked about it, and it was like the wisdom and the woo. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think they have to go together. The strategies and tactics only work if the woo, right, the spiritual, mental, emotional side of things are aligned. And so obviously I didn't go from 0 sales to top 1.5% in the country without absolutely grinding myself to death. So everything that's in the book is a result of me trying to heal and recover myself from literally, creating a multitude of health issues, chronic anxiety, depression, and just feeling very out of alignment. I mean, my body I gained 40 pounds. Like, there was a lot of things that were going on. So I learned all of this I had to do it myself because I had to heal myself. And I think that's where you could probably agree. You probably teach what you had to learn yourself through recovering from whatever trauma you created for yourself. So really that's where it came from. And the other piece is I invested in masterminds. I am a firm believer that you are the sum of the people that you spend time with. And I think that your success, your income, and your happiness is a direct correlation of the people you're spending time with. So I learned early to pick mentors and pay to be in groups where there were people ahead of where I was. And in those rooms, what I saw, the most successful people who were also happy. That's the big thing.
That's a big point there. Yeah.
Successful and happy and had great relationships with their family. The people who were really doing it were the people who put the inner work, the front end work first. They were taking care of themselves first. And it's that phrase of put your own oxygen mask on first, right? You're on a plane and they say put yours on before you help somebody else. And that's really the concept that I had. Was I saw them doing that. It's like, okay, what are they doing? They're doing breath work. That sounds silly. Like, how does breathing solve anything? Okay, they're meditating. Interesting. My brain has never been quiet a day in my life. So I started learning and practicing these things and seeing how they transformed my life and my business. And, one of the other pieces I got out of this is that your business can only grow to the extent that you are spiritually, mentally, physically ready for it. So if you are stunted somewhere, right? If something is not working, your business really can't grow to that. So it's growing from the inside out. So a lot of times if your strategies and tactics aren't working, it's probably because something in your energy field, in your mindset is wired poorly and needs to be worked on first. So that's a really long answer, but that's kind of, it took me a long time to figure it out. So,
well, I think a lot of us are just kind of, maybe we were trained when we were younger that you just have to go put in the hours, put in the work, which you do. But I don't think, I know I wasn't like at a young age or high school or whatever. No one told me like, okay, you need to go work out. You need to meditate. You need to take care of yourself first before you go build this career, do this thing. Right. And it's so important. And side note, what Enneagram are you?
I'm a 3.
Okay. I'm an 8 here.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny because Enneagram is another one of those things. And I think people disregard a lot of these personality assessments. But I've been using personality assessments since I was a kid. My mom was executive director of the Salt Lake County Public Health Department. And a lot of what she did as being in charge of 500 employees was help people understand their gifts and strengths and talent. And so, I've been doing this stuff forever. And the more you understand about yourself, the more you can navigate this world with ease and build a business that's in alignment with what you're actually already good at. So instead of focusing on things that you're not good at and gritting through it with just like white knuckling it through it, you could just do more of what you're already good at and, find somebody, delegate what you're not good at. So yeah, I mean, I think that you'd mentioned like growing up, we were told like grit and hard work. And I definitely think grit and hard work have a place. But the biggest thing I realized is that like our identities have become so wrapped up in being a real estate agent, and our whole lives, our families, our vacations, everything is wrapped up around this. And when I really thought about what I wanted my legacy to be, which is why it's legacy agents, is that like, I don't want to get to the end and like my headstone to be like best realtor ever.
Yeah, that's like, so true. Yeah.
Terrifying. So we really have to be intentional about becoming the best version of ourselves. And real estate is something that we do, not who we are. And I think that's a pretty big misconception when you're in a job that really lacks boundaries and structure. And there's also a no clear delineation between personal and professional. Your personal relationships are most often the catalyst for your professional success. So it becomes hard. You're always on, right? You could be at a bar, 10 drinks in, and somebody's going to ask you how the market is.
I mean, that is really true. Yeah, that is super true. So I would imagine that you're using a lot of these, like, tell me a little bit about the coaching program, right? Because I would imagine that is the book like a condensed version of your coaching program. So are you using a lot of these personality testing and stuff like that in the coaching?
So yes, the coaching program was honestly something that I just wanted for myself. I looked around the industry and I was trying to find a community of women who aren't new real estate agents. There's so many resources for new real estate agents. Mm-hmm. There aren't a ton of resources for agents who have already grown their business. They know how to do their transactions. They know how to negotiate. They probably already have branding and websites and, all of the fundamentals, are probably doing something on social media. There really isn't a space for people who have already gotten there. So like I'm targeting with my program, people who are already making six figures. You already knew how to get your real estate business off the ground. And now you're really looking to take it to the next level. And because that's where I was, right? Like I was like, okay, I already figured out how to sell real estate. But I was feeling really alone, really burned out, and like nobody understood me. And when you're in our environment, which is such fierce competition, like who do you even trust? So I created this program to be like your personal board of directors of other women who have experienced what you're experiencing. So they've gotten, they're making six figures, they're doing well, they've got clients, they have several lead sources and everything, but they're still missing something. And a lot of times it comes down to like systemization, streamlining, delegating, and really making that transition from I'm a real estate agent to I'm a CEO of a small business. Yeah. And so that's a lot of times the leap that we're trying to make is real estate agent as a job within your small business. It's not the business. Mm-hmm. So if you're operating as a real estate agent, you're really not owning your business. And so that's kind of the transition is like, okay, I figured out how to be the real estate agent. Now I need to figure out how to be a CEO. Yeah. And so that's really what we focus on is creating tools, financial measurements, goals, systems, hiring, those kinds of things in order to be able to create a more sustainable business that you love, that you have hours, that you can actually take vacation and, sleep at night. I don't know.
Who would have thought you could do those things?
Isn't it wild? But it's true. And I think a lot of times we create this business and everyone's like, oh, I have this business. Really, we just created a very, very busy job for ourselves. And so to make that leap from a very busy job as a real estate agent to the CEO of a small business is a very big gap that mentally people, haven't quite figured out how to make that jump. So that's where all of the women in legacy agents are. So it's a 12-month group coaching program. We start with a deep dive on everyone's business so I can get an assessment of where they're at. We have 2 in-person retreats. I would say that's probably the sexiest part of it. And everyone's like, ooh, I want to be on these retreats because I'm biased. They're my retreats and I plan them, but they're pretty dang fun. We also get a lot done. And then we have 2 virtual meetings a month and then each woman gets a monthly one-on-one with me. So it's very customized to where they're at, what they need, what their problems are. So it's honestly been the biggest gift, and having the best description of it is your personal board of directors. If you're having a problem with a challenging client, if you need a resource for something, somebody in the group has already done it. It may not be me. I'm the facilitator and coach, but everyone in there has a tremendous background and skill set that you can leverage. So it's not just me, and it's not about me. It's about the group. I go to the group for help and resource and support all the time. So yeah, so that's why I created it. Now I'm kind of trying to figure out how to make other programs that could be more accessible to other people. As a high ticket program, it's, like I said, expensive. So I made the which is, but there's got to be somewhere in between. So that's kind of what I'm.
Awesome. Look at you. You're going to do so many different things, so many different businesses. Well, let's talk about the podcast, because we haven't touched on that yet. And that's one of your newest projects that you're excited about. So tell us a little bit about, what you're working towards and kind of the goal of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there. So the first question was like, why are we doing this? So I have two co-hosts, George Lawton, who's a mega team leader. He has about 250 agents on his team. And then Justin Benson, who runs a company called Barra Agency, and it is a fractional technology company that supports large real estate teams and brokerages. So we all kind of have a different background, but the one common thread that we had was like, we really still want to give back to this industry that has given a lot to us. And we still feel like there's opportunity to uncover the real, raw, and unfiltered stories from people of how they built the business, right? We see all these people that are thought leaders, and it's like, let's go back to the beginning when you didn't have any money to spend $200,000 a month on leads, right? Yeah, like, okay, that's not approachable for most people. And so that, and like the human side of things, I think everyone has a story that will probably bring you to your knees if you really listen to them. And so many people have overcome things and adversity and challenges, and normalizing what some of the struggles are with a lot of the journey people are on. So we're storytelling, and we've had some really exciting guests. We've had here locally in Arizona, Shannon Gillette, nationally renowned Coach Pipes has been on it. And we've got some scheduled people coming up that I'm like, I can't believe, pinch me, I get to interview these people. But it's been really fun. So it's called The Inspection Period. It's obviously on all of the different podcast things. I highly recommend watching on YouTube, because obviously the video is more I told you I don't learn. Podcast isn't my preferred way of ingesting information, so the YouTube works best for me, so I can see and hear. But it's been really fun. So the goal is really just to continue to learn more. Every episode I have about like 2 pages full of notes, and I'm like, I'm going to go do all of these things, which I don't end up doing. But
so for even just 1% of the stuff, right? And I think like what you said earlier, like proximity to people isn't just necessarily putting yourself just in the room. I love podcasting because I get to spend 20, 30 minutes with all of these different people that I probably would have never before, and just take a little bit from each person and learn from them. Is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been rewarding for building relationships. And we know relationships directly correlate to life satisfaction. So, you're just, I think everything, we're in the relationship industry one way or another. So I have this term that another person that I knew, I was like friends with professional benefits. And so that's what I kind of think about podcasting. If I'm just making friends, and maybe professionally we might, work together or do something in the future, but any time that you can connect with people, I think is really important. And so that's kind of how I approach not only my buy-sell business, my coaching program, but also podcasting for sure.
Yeah, amazing. I'm going to pivot just a little bit. You've been in real estate for a while, being the top 1% in the country. What's the funniest thing that has ever happened to you in real estate?
So, I mean, I think this is funny, but so I've shown a lot of houses in my day. And one time I had during the pandemic, and I had clients out, and we were doing a tour of like 8 or 9 homes. So we're seeing a bunch of homes, and I could see that there was somebody touring the home in front of us. So we're waiting in the car, and they're never coming out of the house. Like, we're there 15 minutes. We're getting behind on our tour. You know what that's like when you scheduled all these appointments and you're just, oh my God, I'm behind. I'm stressing out. I'm going to have to call all these agents and push things back. And so I go up, and I'm like, just going to poke my head in and say like, hey, we're here. Like, can we come tour so we don't get fully off our schedule? And the door's locked. I'm like, that's weird. I don't lock the door when I go in for a showing. Maybe that's normal. So I like knock, and the listing agent, or not the listing, the buyer's agent before me pokes her head out. And I'm like, hey, she's like, it's going to be just a minute. I'm like, can we just come in? We're getting really bad. She's like, I'm like, oh no. And she's like, okay, just give me a minute. So we're waiting out there. And then she finally lets us in, and we walk in, and it smells like an outhouse. It's a like 3,000 square foot house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that smells so bad. Let's go outside. So we go outside and the group before us finally leaves. We come in, it still smells like an outhouse. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, this isn't our house. So we leave. And about 15 minutes, 20 minutes later, I got a call from the listing agent accusing me of having a client who went in and flooded the bathroom and used the staging towels as toilet paper. I was like, no. Oh, listen.
Oh, no.
So yeah, so that happened. And it's like just one of those things where I was like, you can't make this up. So yeah, somebody had gone into the bathroom, used it, and I think the water was off at the house. It was a vacant house, flooded the toilet and used the staging towels to clean it up and left them all in the house. And I was like,
okay, can you imagine that other buyer's agent, though? Because that was probably her client. She probably discovered it, and she probably panicked and didn't know what to do and left.
yeah. I was like, I can't. The one thing is just really funny. So now I have clients that are like, I'll be showing houses and they'll be like, I'm going to test the plumbing. And I'm like, please don't.
Yeah,
Like, we're not testing plumbing.
yeah. You don't want to be that person that you're like plunging a toilet somewhere.
Yeah. So I think I think it's funny. It was just one of those like, only in real estate would this happen.
The like glamorous things that you have to deal with when you're showing property or doing anything in people's houses.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I think that that's part of why this industry can be toxic is because like, we got Selling Sunset and $1 Million Listing. And let's be honest, that does not depict one single minute of my job. I'm more likely to be picking up dog poop in my client's yard before listing photos than I am wearing stilettos, having a cute conversation with a friend on like somebody's fluffy bed in their primary suite. Like that's just not reality. So the expectations versus reality of real estate are quite different.
100%. Oh my God, this has been great. There's been some great takeaways. I'm excited to read your book and listen to the podcast. If anyone wants to connect with you or just follow you, where's the best place for them to find you?
I'm an Instagram girly, so the best place to find me is on Instagram. My handle is at Lindsay Fricks. It's Lindsay with an A because A's are awesome. So LINDSAY.Fricks, FRICKS. And you can find everything else I do from that. So yeah, it's the best place.
And I'll drop everything in the show notes. So if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening in on the podcast, I'll put all of her links down below. So, well, Lindsay, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure listening to everything you've got going on and all that you have to offer agents. Thank you. And we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was so fun.
Bye.
Bye.